Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome back to In Case You Missed It. Or if you've never been here before, then just welcome. And since we're talking about welcome, I want to welcome a new subscriber. And that's easy for me to do because I've only got 3. I had 2, now I got 1 more. Last time I checked, I've got 3 subscribers. So whoever you are, number 3, thanks a lot. Glad you're here. Hope you'll share these videos with somebody else, and maybe I can get a 4th subscriber, which would really be fantastic. So what I do in these things is I look at 1 or 2 news events that happen during the day, and maybe you're so busy during your day that you didn't have time to pay attention. I also add commentary, and maybe I thought of something that you missed, and maybe that the whole rest of the world missed too, and that's why everybody, the whole world is lucky that I'm here. What I'm going to do today, I guess you could call this Great Minds Think Alike, or can I call them, or what? Because I was talking yesterday about these reporters complaining that the White House isn't doing on-camera press briefings anymore, or at least not as many as they used to. And here we have 2 former press secretaries, and I'm going to link to the article. I always link to articles that I refer to in case somebody wants to read the whole article and get everything in context, in case I missed something. So here we go. Former press secretaries Fleischer and McCurry call for end to live White House briefings. This is bipartisan here. You have Mike McCurry was Bill Clinton's press secretary, and Ari Fleischer was George Bush's secretary. So you have press secretaries for a Democrat president and for a Republican president, and they're saying the same thing. They're agreeing with what I said yesterday. They're just saying they should just completely end these live White House briefings. But Ari Fleischer and Mike McCurry, they said it better. So I'm just going to read what they wrote. Quote, if the briefing is embargoed until its conclusion, it will become just one of several raw ingredients that journalists can use to prepare their reports on the work of the president and the White House. It would instantly become a toned-down briefing, and reporters would use the information from the briefing and test it against other sources as they prepare coverage. It would not be a news event in and of itself. And then they add, and this is the point that I was making, quote, too much of the briefing today is a game of gotcha, and what did the president do wrong? A better model would focus on facts and substance. Amen. And there you go, 2 great press secretaries agreeing with me. And then there's this item here, another commentator agreeing with me on health care, on the CBO estimate, which I also talked about yesterday. And this is from Ramesh Panuru, and he's writing in the National Review. And, well, in my more arrogant moments, I like to consider myself an intellectual, but this guy is an actual intellectual. And he just says here, there's a difference between losing and dropping insurance, which was what I said yesterday. The CBO is talking about fewer people having health insurance under the Republican plan compared to Obamacare. What the CBO says right in their report, the reason fewer people would have insurance is because the Republican plan takes away the individual mandate that forces people to buy insurance. And so you're talking about people who did not want the insurance in the first place, and they would just voluntarily drop it. And that is not the same thing as losing insurance. So when people talk about 22 million people losing insurance under their plan, this is what they're really talking about. What they're really talking about is Obamacare is so bad, and especially for younger people, that once you take away a penalty, then people aren't going to buy it. And what is wrong with that, with people not buying something that they don't want to buy in the first place? And this brings me to an important point that I want to make, something that a lot of people had missed, something that my liberal friends have missed, and it provides a reason why liberals should be supporting the Republican plan. And they should especially be supporting an amendment that Mike Lee is pushing. He said, you're talking about all this disagreement among Republicans on the plan between the conservatives and the more moderate Republicans. And Mike Lee is very conservative, and he said he would go along with the plan. He would support the plan the way it is as long as you have a provision that lets the states opt out. And that brings us right back to what I was talking about here, the difference between losing insurance and dropping insurance, and the idea of not having the penalty and not forcing people people to buy insurance, because this is a major flaw in what liberals want to do. And I'm going to link to the Supreme Court case, NFIB versus Sebelius, the first Obamacare case, and you have Judge Roberts saying right in the opinion, you cannot compel people to buy insurance, which is what the liberals want to do. And people have to remember that the mandate failed under the Commerce Clause. The argument that people can be forced to buy insurance failed, but it was upheld because the amount of the so-called penalty was so low that it constituted a tax, because it was so much lower than the cost of the actual insurance. So you're not really being punished. It's a way to get out of buying insurance. In fact, here's the quote directly from the case. The most straightforward reading of the individual mandate is that it commands individuals to purchase insurance. But for the reasons explained in the opinion, the Commerce Clause does not give Congress that power. So that's the problem that liberals have. You cannot have a federal law to force people to buy insurance. But you can have, this is the important point, you can have a state law that requires people to buy insurance. And in fact, you have one in Massachusetts. And the reason they have is because the federal government does not have police powers to force individuals to do anything. But the states do. That was the whole point of writing the Constitution that way, to protect the rights of the states to decide how they want to govern their citizens without interference from the federal government. So when Mike Lee says that he wants a provision that allows states to opt out of Obamacare or out of the Republican plan too, all he's saying is that he wants to allow a state like California or anybody that wants to have a single payer system to do it. But you also would then allow states that want nothing to do with any kind of coercive healthcare plan or just have a free market in healthcare, then that would be allowed too. And you know what? This is my beef with liberals, one of their main philosophies, and I'm going to devote an entire video to this sometime. Their obsession with having the entire country live the way that they do. That's their problem. They cannot be satisfied with having, let's say if you live in California or in New York, where I live, very liberal state, they cannot be satisfied with New York or California having their own health care plan and then going to sleep at night knowing that another state is doing it differently. No. Everybody has to live like San Francisco or like the Upper West Side of New York. And I spent time on the Upper West Side of New York, and it's a nice place, but they don't think the way I do. I'm a conservative Midwestern guy, and I can see why people in Michigan would not want to live like the people on the Upper West Side of New York. And my advice, because I like to give out free advice, and it's my 2 cents worth, but it's absolutely free. My advice to liberals is learn how to sleep at night knowing that there are other people living differently than the way you live, but secure in the knowledge that they don't give a hoot about how you live, and you can live the way you want to live. That's it for today. See you again soon with other news items, other insights from me, and more free advice in case you missed it.